The shadows of the lake. The sun hung low in the sky as we set off for a picturesque picnic by the lake. My wife, Emily, and I were excited to create some cherished memories with our two little girls, Lily and Mia, ages 6 and 4. The drive was long, but the promise of a tranquil lake surrounded by nature's beauty kept our spirits high. As we approached the lake, we noticed that the surroundings were far more secluded and overgrown than we had anticipated. Doubt gnawed at me, wondering if we had made a wrong turn somewhere. Nonetheless, we decided to give it a chance. Perhaps this hidden oasis would offer the serenity we sought. Once we parked the car, we unloaded the picnic basket and fishing gear. The lake shimmered in the fading light, its water a deep, mysterious blue. Emily spread out the picnic blanket while I took the fishing rods and cast a hopeful line into the water, trying to quell my growing unease about the place. Lily and Mia seemed to be having fun, chasing butterflies and laughing in their innocent way, oblivious to the creeping feeling of discomfort that gripped me. I turned to Emily and whispered, "Do you think this place is safe?" She looked around, hesitating before replying, "I'm not sure, but as long as we stick together, we should be fine." Just as I tried to relax, two shadowy figures emerged from the woods, walking towards us with a slow and deliberate pace. My heart pounded loudly in my chest, and I felt Emily's grip on my hand tighten. They were like specters materializing out of thin air, shirtless and dirty. Their approach sent shivers down my spine. They stood out like sore thumbs, clearly not belonging to this serene landscape, and they were definitely not carrying any fishing or camping gear. "Hello there," I managed to say, trying to sound composed while my mind raced with fear and uncertainty. The men stopped a few feet away from us, their eyes penetrating and calculating. They eyed us with an unsettling intensity, sizing us up as if we were potential prey. "You folks seem lost. This ain't a place many folks come to," said the taller of the two, his voice rough and unsettling. Emily glanced at me, her eyes silently urging us to leave. But I knew I couldn't let panic take over. I had to protect my family. "Oh, we were just exploring the area and thought we'd try some fishing," I replied, trying to sound friendly. The other man smirked, his eyes glinting in a way that made my skin crawl. "Fishing, huh? Ain't much fish in this lake." "You sure you're in the right spot?" My mind screamed at me to flee, but I didn't want to alarm the girls. I kept my composure as best I could. "Well, maybe not many fish, but it's still a beautiful spot to relax and enjoy nature." The taller man leaned in closer, and I felt my heart race even faster. "You best be careful round these parts. Things ain't always what they seem." As I tried to come up with a response, I noticed Emily reaching for her phone, subtly trying to call for help without drawing attention to herself. But before she could dial, one of the men noticed and took a step closer to her. "What's the hurry, little lady? Why don't you put that phone away?" he said, a menacing grin spreading across his face. Fear now gripped me fully, and I knew we had to leave, no matter how much I wanted to stay composed. My instincts kicked in, and I surreptitiously put my hand behind my back, as if I might have a gun tucked in my pants. I had no weapon, but I hoped that this small gesture might deter any ill intentions they might have had. I spoke firmly, "We appreciate the warning, but we should get going. It's getting late, and we have to get the girls home." The taller man's eyes flickered toward my concealed hand, and I could see uncertainty in his expression. It was as if my defensive stance had made him think twice about causing any trouble. The two men exchanged glances, and for a moment, I thought they might not let us leave. But, fortunately, they stepped back, still watching us with an unsettling intensity. As we slowly backed away, I kept my hand behind my back. We hastily gathered our things, trying not to show the panic that surged within us. With the picnic abandoned, we hurriedly made our way back to the car, not daring to look back until we were safely inside. Once inside, we drove away without looking back, grateful to have avoided any confrontation. The memory of those menacing strangers lingered in our minds, a haunting reminder that danger could lurk even in the most picturesque places. From that day forward, we never ventured into unknown territory without being fully prepared, knowing that sometimes, a subtle show of strength can be enough to deter the shadows that might cross our path.
My heart raced as my husband Mark and I settled into the old camper we had just purchased, deep within the eerie Florida woods. Excitement and trepidation mingled within us as we embarked on our first camping trip together. Choosing to camp on Bureau of Land Management, BLM land, we sought solitude away from the bustling crowds. But the moment we arrived, the dense overgrowth and tall, ancient trees sent a chill down my spine. The fading light of the setting sun cast ominous shadows, and there was only one other camper nearby. Its occupants appeared anxious, hurriedly packing up and leaving us as the sole inhabitants of the remote site. Though we tried to brush off our unease, a sense of foreboding clung to us. We set up our camper, determined to enjoy the night, but the darkness descended more swiftly than we expected. The wilderness came alive with mysterious sounds, and I felt the weight of the unknown pressing down on us. As night enveloped us, the woods seemed to come alive with unseen creatures. Rustling, growls, and eerie howls echoed through the darkness, making my heart skip a beat. Mark attempted to keep our spirits high, reassuring me that it was merely the sounds of wildlife, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something bigger and hungrier was lurking in the shadows. In an attempt to create some sense of normalcy, we made a campfire. The dancing flames provided a flickering shield against the engulfing darkness, but it did little to dispel the unease. The distant calls of unknown animals only amplified our fear. Suddenly, a loud crash reverberated through the night, causing us both to jump in alarm. Our flashlights scanned the surrounding area, revealing nothing but dense underbrush. Mark tried to reason that it was likely just a large animal passing through, but I couldn't shake the feeling that it was something more ominous. As the night progressed, the strange noises grew louder and more frequent. We clung to each other, straining to catch glimpses of what could be lurking just beyond the reach of our lights. The camper's walls seemed thin and inadequate, doing little to protect us from the unknown dangers lurking outside. "Did you hear that? What do you think it is?" I whispered to Mark, my voice quivering. He held me close, trying to appear brave, but I could see the fear in his eyes. "I'm not sure, but let's stay inside and stay quiet. It might just be an animal passing by." Despite his attempts to reassure us both, we could tell that this creature, whatever it was big and hungry. Our hearts pounded in our chests as we listened to it circling our camper, drawn by the scent of our presence. Throughout the long night, the sounds persisted, leaving us terrified and sleepless. We could never be sure what was lurking just outside the thin walls, and the constant sense of being watched was suffocating. As dawn finally broke, the sounds receded, and the creature, whatever it was, vanished into the depths of the woods. With relief, we gathered our belongings, eager to escape the unnerving sight. We never did find out what that mysterious and hungry animal was, and the memory of that haunting night would stay with us forever, a testament to the untamed and unpredictable nature of the wilderness.
Lost in Bigfoot's woods. It was a dark and stormy night when my friends and I decided to venture into the deep, dense woods for a thrilling camping adventure. Little did we know that this night would turn into a terrifying ordeal that would forever haunt our memories. The dense forest swallowed us whole as we trekked deeper into its heart, the moon barely peeking through the thick canopy above. The distant echoes of the forest creatures added an eerie ambience to the atmosphere, but we laughed off any unease, assuring ourselves that it was just our imagination playing tricks on us. As the night wore on, the rain began to pour, drenching us and making the forest floor slippery. We decided to set up camp near a small clearing, hoping the rain would subside soon. But it didn't. The relentless downpour continued, accompanied by occasional flashes of lightning that illuminated the towering trees around us. I could sense the unease growing among my friends. And I too began to feel a sense of discomfort. Despite my skepticism, the stories of Bigfoot I had heard as a child started to creep into my mind. I chuckled nervously, trying to shake off the silly notion that a mythical creature was lurking in these woods. Then, as if to shatter any remaining skepticism, we heard an eerie sound that sent shivers down our spines, a deep, guttural growl that seemed to emanate from all directions. My heart pounded in my chest, and I exchanged wide-eyed glances with my friends, their fear mirroring mine. "It's probably just a bear or something," one of my friends said, attempting to reassure us. But we all knew that whatever was out there was no ordinary woodland animal. Suddenly, a massive figure emerged from the shadows, illuminated briefly by a bolt of lightning. It was massive, towering over 10 feet tall with matted, shaggy fur covering its body. Its eyes glowed with an otherworldly intensity, fixated on us as if we had intruded upon its territory. Fear paralyzed us, rendering us motionless. The rain continued to pour, but the sound of it was drowned out by the pounding of our hearts. The creature let out another bone-chilling growl, and that's when it hit me. It was Bigfoot, or at least what I could only imagine Bigfoot to be. Despite my disbelief in such legends, there was no denying what stood before us. This was the creature of folklore, the elusive and feared Bigfoot. In that moment, all my rationality was stripped away, replaced by raw, primal fear. As if sensing our vulnerability, the creature took a step forward, closing the gap between us. Panic gripped my chest, and I mustered the courage to yell, "Stay back!" But my voice quivered, barely audible over the storm. To my surprise, the creature paused, tilting its head as if it could understand my words. Then, with a sudden burst of movement, it turned and disappeared into the dark depths of the forest. Relief washed over us, but it was short-lived as we realized we were still lost and stranded in the woods, now more terrified than ever. The rain finally began to relent, allowing us to pack up our belongings and try to find our way back to civilization. Throughout that harrowing night, we stumbled through the woods, the fear of the encounter still fresh in our minds. We dared not speak of it, as if acknowledging the existence of such a creature would make it more real. When morning finally broke, we emerged from the woods, exhausted, disheveled, and forever changed by the horrifying experience. We vowed never to return to those woods, but the memory of that fateful encounter with the legendary Bigfoot would forever haunt us, a chilling reminder that some myths may be closer to reality than we dare to believe.